festival to you. Fringe Radio.
Hello again and welcome to programme 20 of our 28 daily programmes coming to you direct from Radisson Blu Hotel here in the heart of Edinburgh. Well, I'm Stuart Cameron. In today's programme we have broadcasting and sporting royalty on the show with the great Archie MacPherson talking about his life as a broadcaster and still in fine form at the age of 89. We talked to Ross Moran from Network Rail about the Fringe and the role he plays in making sure customers get around quickly and safely. There's a chat with actors from the productions of Gemini, Fake and Lover on the Radio, plus an interesting discussion with producer Rhys Williamson. But we start with music from the Celtic rock musical Edinburgh Days.
I wish I could see you, Jean.
Just be thankful you can't, Robbie. It's been 20 years.
It'll take more than a few grey hairs to spoil your looks.
Well, I've got more than a few grey hairs.
Can I touch you, Jean?
Go on then.
You've put on a wee bit of weight.
So what do you expect?
No, but I like it. I like it a lot. Jean, I should have been there to look after you.
Well, you weren't.
Look at you. You've hardly changed, but all the tears I've cried should have washed my love away. I tried hating you, but I could never, 'cause I still get a shiver
Loving the music from Brian Spencer's production of Edinburgh Days, which is on at the Auditorium at St Bride's Community Centre at 7:30pm daily until August the 30th. Well, as usual, Simon Walton has been out and about sniffing out interview opportunities, and he's been checking out Joan Cooper Snark, a lady who loves to play on the persona of Salford's own bard in residence. The content of these companion works carries a health warning for those of a sheltered disposition. Simon takes up the story.
It's one of those times on Fringe Radio when you get two for the price of one. One of them is Down Bard, and the other show is The Gemini. I'm with Joan Cooper Stark, the star of both shows. Tell us what we can expect.
So I'm an erotic comedy poet, which is a bizarre thing to be, but I do very well in Fringe because this is a place for bizarre people. The late show that I'm doing is called Down Bard. It is at midnight in the basement of a Greek gyros grill takeaway. That's sort of a compilation of my poems, somewhere between kind of like 30 to 60 minutes of my poems for a late night audience down in the downstairs of a takeaway. The show that I'm proud to be bringing this year, the culmination of probably about a year of preparation, is called The Gemini. I'm lucky that I've had my run extended. I started off my run in Banshee Labyrinth from the 8th to the 18th, and now it will be in Bannerman's from 4pm till 5pm every day except for Saturday of the last week of Fringe. The Gemini it's not necessarily not autobiographical, but it is a Fleabag-esque dating adventure where a woman breaks up with a boyfriend and then sort of dates and has sex with various people in a way that is probably relatable to...
At 4 in the afternoon?
At 4 in the afternoon. I was doing it at 3:15. Fun marketing facts for this. There were 3 older Scottish women who walked out of one of my shows. I've had people cry afterwards. I've had people tell me this made them want to text their ex. I've had really good response. I've had a lot of people who've smiled, a lot of people who've laughed, and it is really... It's very Fringe. It's very Fringe, but it's also not quite like anything you'll ever see. Imagine Fleabag, but if every now and again she does a really rude poem that is also relevant to the plot of the show. The Gemini is also about lots of things. Like, it is about duality in lots of forms, whether that duality is ADHD and autism, which I know they're buzzwords, but it's not just about that. Or whether it is being with someone or not being with someone. There's also a number of cats in the show. There are lots of mime cats that maybe represent my relationships, or maybe represent me.
How does a mime cat represent your relationship?
There's also a show that's vaguely about polyamory, but it's more just about sort of dating lots of people and what that really tells you about yourself or what you're looking for. In real life, I foster cats. And I found it really interesting that me fostering cats is a little bit like getting into relationships or dating people. They're kind of like things that come into my life for a small amount of time that require love and care and that I develop a relationship with, that I come to really get to know, and then leave and go off and live a different life somewhere else. But still provide me with something important because I've got to give them a home for a while before they go on to have their real home somewhere else. And it's interesting. And also, I love cats. And I also love cats. So.
Well, there's a metaphor there because, I love cats as well, but the thing is, they're not in your life for a very long time because, cats sadly don't have as long a lifespan as the rest of us. And that kind of is what I've found with relationships.
Well, I don't think about the cats dying per se, but I think whenever I have fostered cats in real life, which I recommend anybody should do, I think it's an interesting thing to do. I think a lot of people assume, a little bit like with relationships, that you get one cat and it will last forever. And that's just not true. I think that there's something very useful in fostering or kind of being able to provide a home for something that will only be with you for a little while, but you still come to appreciate and love and look after just for what it is, just completely for what it is. Got a bit deep there.
Wondering about both your shows, was the reaction you were expecting what you got? And by that I mean crying in the aisles, walking out?
I think I am a fairly divisive and provocative performer. Because I do a lot of burlesque lineups when I am in Liverpool. I MC and I host a lot of gigs, and I describe what I do sometimes as verbal burlesque, unpeeling the layers of filthy stories about my life, or maybe inspired by my life, or maybe not. I think that when you talk very candidly, especially about sex as a woman, that people sometimes don't know what to do with it. But I think there's also a kind of beauty in reclaiming that. But some people, I think the difficulty with Fringes is that you get people in, you say, it's sort of like Fleabag, it's sort of about cats, it's sort of about relationships, it's sort of about sex. How can you really explain the true filth of something until someone is experiencing it, unless they come to it by word of mouth. So people come off the street, I totally understand if it's not their bag. They might not be expecting that. But a lot of people have loved it. A lot of people have been like, that was hilarious, or I really related to that, or I really got that bit. And that's the beauty of Fringe. That's the beauty of Fringe.
Joan, as we said, you've two shows, Downbarred and the Gemini. Remind us when both are on, because you've extended the run of at least one.
Downbarred is in the basement of the Greek Eros Grill at midnight every day. And the Gemini has been extended to run from the 24th to the 30th, right till the end of Fringe, at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. in Bannerman's, with the exception of the Saturday, the 29th. But you should come and see it. It's good.
Joan, thanks so much indeed.
Simon talking to Joan Cooper Snark. Well, next up, music from two acts appearing at the Fringe this year. Karen Hall, who recorded a track on her cello for us, and first Melanie Gall with the wartime classic, The Knitting Song.
Bringing the festival to you. Fringe Radio.
I cannot believe he asked me to do OnlyFans.
Hold on, let's talk about this.
There's nothing to talk about.
We're always complaining about money.
Then get another job. I am not selling my body. I'm listening to me now. I'm good at this.
15 Minutes of Shame, from the 7th to the 30th of August at 7:20 at Playground 2 at Zoo Playground. Tickets at edfringe.com.
Black Blues Brothers, let's twist again. Fringe favourites, the Black Blues Brothers are back. Expect a rock and roll jukebox, a train station and lots of acrobatics. Every day from August 5th to August 31st at 5 p.m. at McEwen Hall, Bristow Square. Tickets available at edfringe.com.
Two sisters, one man, a history neither of them fully understands. Becca, a painter, moves into architect Charlie's flat, and the two quickly form a bond far deeper than either expected. But when miscommunication leaves their relationship unresolved, Becca's older sister Emily returns from traveling and unexpectedly falls for Charlie, unaware of everything that came before. As feelings collide and buried truths begin to surface, three lives become dangerously intertwined. A story of love, timing, sisterhood, and what happens when nobody says what they really mean. Almost everything is on at Bra Venues. Grand Lodge Venue 7 at 12 noon every day until August the 30th, except for the 26th. Tickets from edfringe.com.
We're broadcasting from the Radisson Blu Hotel, Edinburgh city centre, surrounded by the buzz of the Royal Mile, where you can recharge, refuel and jump straight back into the festive fun. With the space on the Mile based here, 7 theatres are filled with performances from morning until night every day of the Fringe. If you want to be at the centre of the action, this is the right place.
What is the most powerful force in the universe? This August, magician and physicist Kevin Quantum brings an all-new Fringe show to Edinburgh. Invisible Force. Expect brand new magic inventions, impossible moments you'll never have seen before, and astonishing illusions where science and mystery collide. Electricity crackles, reality bends, and you'll leave questioning what's actually possible. Funny, surprising, and unlike anything else at the Fringe. Search Quantum at edfringe.com and discover Kevin Quantum, Invisible Force.
Bringing the festival to you, Fringe Radio.
Tramp, 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 the boys are beginning to march. Tramp, 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 the boys are beginning to march. The girls they left behind them on the old home front are knitting away all night and day to help along the stunt. We've got the wool to make the socks to keep the army fit. Purl one, drop one, we've got to begin to knit. To and fro the needles go, but we don't mind a bit. Purl one, drop one, we've got to begin to knit. Madam
That was recorded by cellist Karen Hall, Bach's number 1 in G major, and the knitting song from Melanie Gall. And you can find out all you need to know about their shows at edfringe.com. Simon Walton, we heard him earlier, making a habit of companion works. After he met with Chris Cook last week at his magic and storytelling show entitled Fake, which you'll hear about shortly, he met up with the man behind the man, the producer of that show, and of the adjacent work, with this snappy title.
Heist. It's one word, but you already have an idea of what to expect. Except that's not what you get. Instead, the tour de force that is Chris Cook takes the audience on a roller coaster ride through all the tropes and tricks of the elements of a heist. Yet, even though it's a one man on stage, there's more to the show than meets the eye. And that more is the driving force behind the stage presentation. Producer Rhys Williamson. And Rhys joins us on Fringe Radio now.
So I've been working with Chris since 2014. I don't know how I became a producer. It was a bit of a weird one. I was doing stand-up at the time, and I was booked to do a cabaret that he was hosting, and we both did the worst gigs of our life. And by some coincidence, we ended up at Fringe that year just as punters, and we saw some magic shows, and he was like, I really want to do a magic show. And I started working with him, and basically he would do the performing and I filled in a lot of the gaps. So it was a lot of writing, it was a bit of the directing, and also the kind of producing, but we never called it those formal roles. It's just kind of what happened, and I don't know, I've just grown to love it. I love getting something from an idea, seeing what something could become, and working on all the steps to make it happen. That's really exciting.
But the fact that you call yourself the producer, but you are doing much more than that, because without all the effort that you're putting in, all the foundation you're putting in, the show falls apart.
Yes. Chris will not be annoyed if I say this, but he's not the most kind of organised person in the world, so it takes a lot of galvanising and deadlines. This show Heist is, I'm really proud of it. I think it's great, but the journey to it was quite short. We booked him for the Durham Fringe just before Edinburgh, and we were literally writing it on the hoof. We didn't know what we were going to go do on stage. That ending that you saw today, we decided we were doing that 20 minutes before we went on. We had this other idea, which was great and maybe a bit convoluted. We just couldn't make it work, and we were like, let's do this. And then we had this realization, oh, how do we actually make that work? And with a bit of cardboard and sellotape, we created a hob-job version of it, one that didn't quite work, but it kind of played. And yeah, so it's a fun one because it's keeping those deadlines, pushing things forward and making it happen.
You have a career of your own in front of the footlights. You've worked together for over a decade with Chris. Your experience of actually being there out in front of the audience has got to help with putting together a production like this. You say it's on the hoof, but frankly, there's not one moment when I would believe that it was on the hoof when I'm sitting there in the audience.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say to that. Chris and I have talked at length about it before, because there's with a magician there is an element of it's nice to be the one-man band, and from an audience perspective there's maybe even a compromise when you realise that there might be a team of people, because it opens up the possibilities of what might be going on. I've quite liked playing in the shadows of that and kind of being invisible, but it's nice to be part of the team and to bring it to fruition and make it fun, you know.
Are you all equal parts of this production?
Yeah, I would say so. A decade ago, it wasn't that. I was a lot less experienced. I think this year we're doing our other show, Fake, on the paid Fringe, and there's been a pressure to that, which, has weighed on my shoulders, and also taking on 2 shows, that's got its challenges, and I think we work quite collaboratively. From the kind of writing point of view, it's always hard to write in somebody's voice when I perform myself. It's very easy to write for me because I know how I speak. So I feel there's an inequity there where Chris isn't always comfortable saying what I'm saying he should do on stage because it's not him, and I totally respect that. But since we've formed our kind of company together, it has become an equal match, and these are Snap the Arrow productions. It's why the last few years, or our shows this year, are called Fake and Heist rather than Chris Cook Heist, because we want that brand to be there is a team of people that's not just me who kind of pull together and make it happen.
And you mentioned there taking that weight and putting it on your shoulders. Does doing that heavy lifting, does that reflect in a better performance, in a better show for the audience?
I definitely think it is. I've been talking to a lot of performers this year, and I'm hoping to bring up more productions. I'm a producer's really helpful because it allows you to focus on the thing that you care about. Everything else will kind of work behind the scenes. I'm hoping to do my own show next year, and I'm going to get a producer. I'm I don't want to do that. I want my show to be my show. And it's an interesting dynamic where it's I've got the skills, but when it's your show, you want it to be about the art. You want it to be about what you're trying to make and audiences to think and feel.
Is that where you go next after producing a series of hit shows? They're all going down well with the audiences. Putting yourself out on stage, is that where you envisage being next? Going back to your roots, but with that production experience behind you?
Yes, for the last year I've been working on a show which is now done 2 work in progress performances. It's all about a horrible roofing scam that happened to me last year, and yeah, I really love it. I'm really passionate about it, and I'm excited to bring it, but I also love the producing side. I don't think I'll ever give that up, but it's definitely something that I've been building towards since 2014, that I want to do something, and this particular show is interesting, especially in the context of Heist and Fake, where we're talking about scams. We almost glamorise scams, and this is the dark side of the coin. It's not the Ocean's 11 version, it's the grotty, vulnerable, horrible side of it, which has been really fun to explore.
Finally, you've said as producer you're wanting to get out there on stage, and there are many performers who want to, if you like, get behind the footlights and produce shows. Seems like you're in that dilemma of whatever you're doing, you're going to be missing the other side of the coin.
Yes, and for a lot of performers, I would say one of the best things that you can do is self-produce for your first year. You will learn so many skills, and if you bring a producer on board at a later date, you will know what you want, you'll know what you want to do, you'll know what you should expect for them. When they say it's going to cost this much, you should know what the expectation of what that is. I think you can love both things. This Fringe, having 3 shows up here this year, it's resonated with me so much because I catch myself at 2 a.m. in the morning and I'm doing spreadsheets, I'm emailing you, I'm sorting this stuff out, and it's like when you love making stuff, when you love making theatre, it doesn't matter if it's behind the scenes or on the stage, it's the thing you love and you don't mind the spreadsheets and emails.
Pretty little flower gazing at the sky, waiting for the sun to shine. In a summer shower, dressed in powder blue, hiding tears and raindrops dew. Daffodils surround her, and dandelions crowd her, and daisies aren't as nice as they seem. Heaven-scented lilacs and honeysuckle roses, no one supposes a flower could be blue. Don't forget forget-me-nots, as small as they may seem. Everyone deserves a dream. Pretty little flower, the sun is sure to shine. Keep on gazing at the sky. Forget-me-nots, as small as they may seem. Everyone deserves a dream. Pretty little flower, the sun is sure to shine. Keep on gazing at the sky.
Lost and found am I with you, terrified and happy too. I don't know if I'm captured or I'm free. Dizzy dazed, I'm in a spell, lovesick, but I feel so well. Your mystic charms have taken hold of me. There's a fire in my soul, I'm losing control. Could this be magic, or am I a tragic Romeo? Now fate has pulled me by your side. I tried my best to fight the tide, but now my lonely ship has run aground, and I'm lucky to be lost and found. this be magic, or am I a tragic Romeo? Now fate has pulled me by your side. I tried my best to fight the tide, but now my lonely ship has run aground, and I can't tell if I'm in hell or if I'm heaven bound, but I'm lucky to be lost and
Music from Richard Shelton, who's at the Dirty Martini in Le Monde, performing his brilliant One Last Shot musical play about Frank Sinatra. And before that, it was Andrea Carson with Forget Me Not. And you can see her up to the 30th at the Speakeasy, daily at 6 o'clock. Well, Edinburgh-based Chris Cook has brought his engaging magic, illusion, comedy and storytelling show back to Edinburgh for a brand new run. If fine art and finer fakery is an engaging subject for you, then this is where all your allusions are turned into illusions. Simon Walton again.
It's not the first time that Chris Cook has been to the Fringe. Then again, the fact that this show is a copy is what fake is all about. How do you authenticate a work of art that may be attributed to another equally competent but ultimately unrecognised performer? Indeed, Chris Cook is an award-winning magician, storyteller and theatre maker, originally from the Lake District, now resident right here in Edinburgh, who's become a regular performer at the Fringe. His career is rather more interesting than the description magician initially suggests. Chris, you're no Ching Lung Su, a pretend magician. You are the real deal, and your show begins with the question, it's pretty, but is it art? Well, Americans pretending to be a Chinese magician aside, what was it about that wartime Dutch painter that you referred to, the faker Hans van Meegeren, and his extraordinarily convincing forgeries of Vermeer masterworks, like Girl with a Pearl Earring, who joined you on stage, that first captured your imagination?
Yeah, so I think the story of Van Meegeren, a Dutch faker who made a huge amount of money from faking predominantly Vermeers, although other works as well. He did some Frans Hals. It was just so captivating. I remember reading about it more than 10 years ago and thinking, oh, there's a show in this. And it just ate away at me for a long time. And I feel like it's something I kind of tried to do many times and even came back to. And I couldn't quite figure out how to make this story fit. But then I realized that, yeah, I think a forger is very similar to a magician. I often feel drawn between that line between what makes something real and authentic and what makes something a fake. I mean, cover bands might be a great example. You know, you'll go see a cover band, they could be absolutely incredible, get everyone on the dance floor, you know, play these songs amazingly. They didn't write the songs, but like, does that mean there's no artistry in what they do? I don't know. I think we all understand that is something at least different, and magic often exists in that halfway house. Yeah.
Does the cover band, does the art forger, does the illusionist, do they all rely on an audience believing what they think they're seeing, what they think they're hearing, what they're indeed reacting to?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great example, like a cover band. If you are willing to just let yourself go and just imagine that actually you are watching Queen rather than you're watching a Queen cover band, you can have a great night. But like, we do know that there's something different. And I suppose like magic is the same. You can let yourself go and just believe that it is magic. But I think we inherently as an audience know it's not. We know there is some artifice to it. We know it is fake, but it can feel real. And I think that's what I'm looking to do. I don't want anyone to come to my shows and believe that I have magic powers. I know that they know I don't. And I want to play with that. I want to take them on that journey and show them some art with the artifice, if that makes sense.
But it is a kind of magic, constructing something that looks completely real while knowing that it isn't.
Yeah, I would say so. And I think that is a lot about what the show is about. I mean, you mentioned Chung Ling Soo, a seemingly Chinese magician who toured the world, and there was this open hidden secret that in fact he was an American white guy who was putting on yellowface and was stealing tricks from other magicians. And like, I don't know how I feel about that. That feels today, like, that is quite lazy. It feels quite racist. It feels, but at the same time, he inspired loads of people, and it was of a bygone era. He's sort of hinted at as being the magician who appears in Christopher Nolan's film, The Prestige, who has a secret that he keeps within his private life as well as on stage. And maybe there's some art in that, in being... playing a role, not just on stage, but playing it for your whole life must be incredibly overbearing.
You describe yourself as a professional magician, but the show's also about history. It's about comedy, at which you effortlessly excel, by the way, and storytelling, at which you're also good. Did researching fakery change the way you think about your own craft, particularly the difference between deception, trickery, and entertainment?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's an open secret throughout the whole show, which is that it was hugely inspired by the last film that Orson Welles ever made, which is called F for Fake, where he also discusses an art forger, a different one from who I talk about in the show. He talks about Elmire de Horry, who could knock up a Picasso in no time. There's various sort of weavings together of different forms of chicanery and fakery, and it has made me think about that. I mean, Orson Welles himself admits that a huge part of his fame and success came through what seemed to be fakery. When he created the War of the Worlds radio show, people thought it was real and genuinely were afraid that aliens were invading, and there are tales of people fleeing into the mountains, and he said himself that he travelled around Ireland painting and had a horse and cart that he would travel around with, and eventually he got to Dublin and he convinced people that he was this super successful New York actor, and he started at the top and he said he's been working his way down ever since. And I feel like that hugely inspired me, that idea of often the secret to success in magic is confidence. If you want to utilize misdirection, if you want to convince someone of something, you have to be confident. And it is absolutely the same in almost all forms of fakery, confidence scams, whether that's forgery or what. It did really impact how I see my craft, because I see myself as much of a storyteller and a comedian as a magician. Magic is just the language I am familiar with using to present my ideas, but I don't want it to get in the way of the storytelling itself.
Well, you use that language to gain and play with the audience's trust. Now, when I attended, and it's at 1:40 in the afternoon, by the way, at the Den in Teviot at Gilded Balloon, that's venue 14, you as an illusionist, you're asking us to believe you while simultaneously telling us that you're a professional liar.
Yes.
And that's something that you admit at the end of your show, and I don't think I'm giving away the plot there. How much of the show is really about the relationship between the performer and the audience?
Yeah, so I think it's really important that I have a meaningful relationship with the audience. I think the problem with magic is that we don't trust anything a magician says. Why should we? We know that they are lying to try and deceive us. But what I wanted to do was, many years ago, I performed a show where I told a true story in it. And people, including friends who came to see it, would say, I didn't know that about you, and did you just write that for the show? And I'm like, no, this was a true story. But I realized that people just don't believe what magicians say. And so I wanted to craft a way that I could do a show where it was really clear what is and isn't true. You don't have to think, this guy is lying to me, he's trying to deceive me. I want it to come across as, I have a true story that I want to share, and that is, the key thread that runs throughout the show. Because I feel like I'm not trying to trick and fool and deceive an audience. What I'm instead trying to do is connect with them. A magician many years ago said to me that he had a trick that he felt the audience kept trying to figure out, and it was really frustrating him. And I said, well, why don't you just let them? And he said, whose side are you on? I just remember thinking about it, and I was like, the audience's. I'm on the audience's side every single time. Of course I am. I'm making this for them. It's not for me, it's for them. So I don't want it to feel like it's a battle between them, that I have to keep a secret away from them. I'm happy to give them a peek behind the curtain, but I also want to keep it as something special. So I hope at least that audiences get that I'm sharing something magical with them rather than I'm trying to keep secrets from them.
And that's not a platitude, Chris Crook, because you do engage the audience, you do involve the audience, and it's not in a patronising way at all. So anyone that comes along to the show, which is almost sold out, so get your tickets while you can. You know, after taking Fake from its 2025 Fringe run, you know, and on a successful tour, now back in Edinburgh, what do you hope people are still arguing about or questioning when they walk out of the theatre? And hopefully it's not like me saying, "Where's my wallet?" And that does not happen, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I mean, in my other show, Heist, I do steal people's wallets. So if you want that experience, I have another show at 6:15 you can come to. But yeah, when it comes to Fake, I think I don't want to spoon feed the audience. I think when I first wrote the show, I had an idea of what was and wasn't art and what was and wasn't forgery, and I would share that with them at the end. But now I think there's a lot more subtlety to it. I think I present all of the arguments from both sides and I leave it for the audience to decide. And I think my final personal story as well, I've had people come up and question that and say, wait, I'm a little confused. Like, is that person your friend? Did that really happen? And I have spelled it out and made it clear in the show. But I like that people still... I've had people say, I know you told me that element wasn't true, but I want to believe that it is. And I really like that. I like the idea that a feeling can have more significance and last a lot longer than a fact can.
And Fake is performing at the Den at Gilded Balloon Teviot, venue 14 at 1:40 until 31st of August. Well, what's the biggest show, the biggest venue on the Fringe? Well, Simon Walton would argue that the biggest draw in the whole month of August is the biggest draw in every month of August. It's literally a giant of a venue, named for a giant of literary history. It is, in fact, Waverley Station, the 23-acre site that dominates the city centre of Edinburgh. So how do you deal with 100,000 visitors every single day of the Fringe? Well, that's the question Simon put to Ross Moran, route director for Scotland's Railway at Network Rail, and himself a fan of the Fringe.
The Fringe runs alongside the International Festival, the Tattoo, and many other major events, all happening in Edinburgh at the same time. And that's a lot of pressure on venues, a lot of pressure on the infrastructure of the city, and particularly on the infrastructure of the railways, which is why I'm glad to be joined by Ross Moran, the route director for Scotland from Network Rail. Ross, we're talking about the Edinburgh festivals, which bring enormous numbers of people into the city over a very concentrated period. From Network Rail's perspective, what makes August such a demanding month for the railway in Scotland?
Well, thanks for having me on. Without a doubt, the epicentre of all that activity is Edinburgh Waverley. You guys will know that Waverley is not the easiest station to navigate. It is a labyrinth, it is confusing. The platform numeration is not left to right, it goes in a clock face, which means that we have to have specific focus on wayfinding, additional staff. We bring in contractor workers to make sure that everyone can get through that station as quickly and as efficiently as possible, and that's particularly important when footfall rises way beyond 100,000 per day. So there's a huge amount of activity to make sure that people can get in and get out safely.
Now, you can, of course, plan for the number of trains and the number of passengers, but like you've just said, you can't necessarily plan for exactly when everybody is going to want to travel. So how do you manage that extraordinary surge in demand?
It's all about planning. So we'll spend months working out exactly with all key stakeholders what we predict the passenger numbers are going to be. We'll make sure that we understand when the peak flows are going to be. We actually have created a new station control room. It's been there for a couple of years. So we have got round-the-clock staff looking at CCTV, observing passenger behaviours, understanding if we need to intervene at particular points, making sure that our mobility assistance is on point. So it is all about the planning.
For many visitors, their first experience of Edinburgh is actually stepping off the train at Waverley. How conscious are you that the railway is effectively part of their Edinburgh festival, their Fringe experience, and the performance of the railway can influence their whole visit?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, stations have so much character in themselves. You know, I keep using this phrase about certain stations being cathedral of the railways. Glasgow Central is one. Edinburgh Waverley, with its peccadillos and unique architecture, is another. So we just want to put on a good show, and we want to make sure that passengers enjoy their experience of coming through the station.
The railway's very good at dealing with planned demand, but August also brings the possibility of disruption, a signalling problem, a train failure, things which are adjacent to the railway, not the railway's fault. How much additional resilience do you build into the network during the Edinburgh festivals?
A lot, yes. So the nerve centre for management of everything within the railway is in our integrated control room. So we have a specific focus on making sure that we understand gold assets. Princess Street Gardens is a case in point. We want to make sure that trains are moving safely. So from an infrastructure perspective, we will have staff deployed at critical locations, at critical junctions. We'll make sure that we've got sufficient competent staff available to respond. And then, of course, we've talked about the stations. We make sure that we've got sufficient staff there as well.
I mean, Edinburgh's buzzing 24 hours a day, but in festival time, it's late night, maybe around midnight, when there's a surge in demand, that's out with the usual peaks of demand. So how do you balance that additional rush hour in the middle of the night with the necessary demands of maintaining the railway?
It's challenging, but we're good at this. We have done it for a number of years. Getting in and getting work done when the station's shut is complex. One of the things that make it even more complex, as you guys and your listeners will know, is the Caledonian Sleepers perform their split and join operation in the middle of the station, in the middle of the night. So we've become very good at being nimble, at being adaptive, getting on and off the track as quickly as possible, and making sure that infrastructure is in tip-top condition.
I've actually seen people watching the Caledonian Sleeper operations going on, and at this time of year, I'm not convinced that actually they know it's actually a live railway. They think it's some sort of performance, genuinely, because what goes on in the station is just fascinating to people. I guess what goes on in the festival itself, the thousands of performances in the Fringe, is fascinating to everyone in Scotland. Everyone wants to get a piece of the Fringe. Just one last question for you. Have you ever got the opportunity to see anything yourself?
Oh yeah. It makes me weep that I don't live in Edinburgh anymore. But I lived in Dalry for 14 years, so I was always a regular attendee and a lover of the arts. So yes, I do try to support the festival.
Ross Moran from Network Rail, thank you so much indeed for joining us on Fringe Radio.
Oh, home, where did you go? Where did you wander without a goodbye? You left your belongings, couches and clothes, all of the same creaks right under my toes. Oh, home, where did you go? Oh, house, why do you sigh? Why act so different than what I recall? Stop being so distant, you see, it is I, the boy who for years in this house I would lie. Oh house, why do you sigh? Oh boy, what's this new pause? What is this earnest that stifles your smile? Your stoic security stiff as a skull that shudders the others, indignant to all. Oh boy, what's this new power? Oh boy, who are you now? Has all that ambition got you so far, far from this box of a billion dreams sown, far from the outlook you think you've outgrown? Oh boy, who are you now? Oh house, how does it feel to stand through the seasons of silence and sound? Floors taking beats from boys just like me, never to stay but always to leave. Oh house, how does it feel? Oh home, it's been a while since festives and feelings of family flew. The house is still here, waiting undefiled for the boy to be free as he was as a child. Oh home, it's been a while.
breeze with which you came and went will forever leave its dent. You cast your spell right early on, summer love that went on and on. I see you now as I seen you then. The trees grow old, the seasons send secret holds, eternal flames, purple pitchers, lemonade. Can you hear me? The party is over. The last dance, it's gone. It's been taken as over. And if you see me passing around your way, don't look back and pretend, girl. Just have a beautiful day. Was it that we needed time, or simply fall right off the line? Cast aside those doubts we had, something good I wish it had. Feel the pangs of what could have been, the things we'd done, the dreams we'd seen. I'm falling now, so please let go into the dark, the unknown. Can you hear me? The party is over. The last dance, it's gone. It's been taken as over. And if you see me passing around your way, don't look back and pretend, girl. Just have a beautiful day. Can you hear me? The party is over. The last dance, it's gone. It's been taken us over and over. And if you see me passing around your way, don't look back and pretend, girl. Just have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day.
Two crooners back to back for you. Danny Taylor, who's here with his Tommy Cooper Story show, and before that Bryan Eng with Oh Home, and he completed his run at the Fringe today. Now, after the break, the great Archie MacPherson talks to Stuart MacFarlane.
Bringing the festival to you, Fringe Radio.
One story, two people. Amanda Crowley and Thomas Duncan. One lawyer, one mass murderer. The case is lost. She wants it anyways. Not to win, but to understand how monsters are made. Glimpse behind the societal masks, as with Monster Made, an intense character study, a captivating, psychological, intimate play is coming to the Fringe at Paradise in the Vault. Only the one who can change his mind can actually change something. Monster Made runs from August 24th to August 30th. Book your seats today at edfringe.com.
What is the most powerful force in the universe? This August, magician and physicist Kevin Quantum brings an all-new Fringe show to Edinburgh. Invisible Force. Expect brand new magic inventions, impossible moments you'll never have seen before, and astonishing illusions where science and mystery collide. Electricity crackles, reality bends, and you'll leave questioning what's actually possible. Funny, surprising, and unlike anything else at the Fringe. Search Quantum at edfringe.com and discover Kevin Quantum, Invisible Force.
This August, discover the best comedy, cabaret, kids shows and more at the Free Festival. With over 360 daily shows, there's something for everybody, at a price for everyone. Donate what you think the show's worth at the end, or book pay what you can tickets to keep the Fringe accessible for everyone. The Free Festival, the real spirit of the Edinburgh Fringe. Full programme at freefestival.co.uk.
Print it, copy it at thecopyandprintshop.com.
Your printing is made easy at the Copy and Print Shop. We specialise in rapid printing services, leaflets, posters, brochures, banners, business cards and more. Collect your order at our Glasgow print shop or have it delivered wherever you are. Find out more at thecopyandprintshop.com.
Print it, copy it at thecopyandprintshop.com.
One of Australia's best tribute acts, the 64, make their Edinburgh Fringe debut with 70s Jukebox. At the Assembly Rooms, Bijou, Venue 20, you'll enjoy powerhouse vocals, slick choreography, and full-on energy as the 64 bring you the best music of the 70s. They're relishing the opportunity to play for an Edinburgh audience for the very first time at 2:30 every afternoon from the 18th to the 30th of August. Get your tickets now at edfringe.com.
For 31 years, The Space UK has championed new writing and exciting companies from across the world, giving artists an affordable, supportive and professional platform at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. Now presenting one of the Fringe's largest and most diverse programmes across 19 theatres and 6 venues, there's always something new to discover at The Space UK. Explore the programme and book at thespaceuk.com.
Bringing the festival to you. Fringe Radio.
Archie MacPherson was the face of sports scene in the 1980s, commentated on Scotland at 6 Football World Cups, was a member of BBC's breakfast team that broke the news that sprinter Ben Johnson had failed a drugs test at the Seoul Olympics. And as we'll hear, he had his own cameo role in a film which is now 30 years old, namely Trainspotting. Well, Stuart MacFarlane visited him at his home this weekend.
Archie, lovely to see you again. Thank you very much for the invitation round to your flat. I want to begin with a rather depressing subject, and that is the performance of the national team in the United States. There was great celebrations and jubilation at the time of qualifying, but have you recovered from that disappointment back in June?
No, I haven't. I think really because I think we've got to try to appreciate what happened. We've got to find a context for it. And what worried me about at the end, after the 3 games and so on, was the fact that particularly social media, I think an echo of it in different places in the media itself, the feeling that it was the same old story. We've failed again, we've done it before, the same old story. Well, it wasn't the same old story. Each individual World Cup was different from the preceding one. And the reasons why we failed were all rather different. We failed this time because we were awful. We were perhaps, I've spoken to people around here. I've spoken to my own grandsons who were both out there and watched it and were disappointed and disillusioned and so on. And they agreed with me because what they've done subsequently is look back, seen all the games, they saw a lot of games. They didn't get into an actual Scotland game, by the way. They were watching on big screens because they couldn't get tickets, which were hell of a expensive, in any case, in what was a geopolitical World Cup. And they said themselves, they think there was no worse team than Scotland. That's how bad they felt about it, having gone all that way and so on. And that's how I felt about it as well, which is why I look back on what I was able to do in the 18 World Cup games that I covered for BBC and Eurosport at the end, and so different from what happened in the States. Now, when I wrote a piece in public about that, I have to say 95% agreed with me. I got responses coming back in. But one or two people were saying, you're being sentimental about the past, and so on. Well, I look back on the past, admittedly, with great affection. I mean, I saw Denis Law scoring his first 2 goals for Scotland against Czechoslovakia to qualify for the European finals at Hampden Park. The quick feet in a crowded penalty area, the arm up in the air, a symbol of success. I saw John Gregg scoring that wonderful goal 2 minutes from the end after a pass by Jim Baxter opened up. I saw Kenny Dalglish saving my reputation in a certain way at Anfield after I had said about that dubious penalty in my commentary, and I can remember the words, a penalty, if ever there was one. And of course, when Jock Stein, my co-commentator, and me saw it downstairs, and the BBC fan said, oh my God, and so on. But Kenny, with his wonderful header from the Martin Buchan cross, put us in the lead in any case. I didn't matter. And I've seen all of that. Now, listen to all these names I've mentioned. Who in the Scottish squad, current squad, comes anywhere near that level? I haven't even mentioned Billy Brenda, who brought a different quality to Scotland, which was gritty determination, missing nothing that mattered except his famous miss, because he's not a striker, against Brazil in the nothing each game in 74, and all of these things. So, yes, I have an affection for the past. And the failure in these different instances in these different years was simply different. Because we came back in 1974, for example, to a huge crowd at Glasgow Airport welcoming us back, because they had seen how well we had played after having had almost a failure to appreciate what was happening in the run-up to the World Cup, where the Daily Record produced a headline I'll never forget, the Tour de Farce, after all the drinking episodes that had gone on between the games, Belgium and Norway. And they had dismissed this Scottish squad. You know, I mean, Jimmy Johnson and Billy Bremner should have been sent back home after their drunken night, which I witnessed with John Motson, the other BBC commentator. He sat down beside us, singing like linties, roaring foo, the night before a game. I mean, it was just... So the Scottish public had simply dismissed them. And yet they welcomed us back a month later, which shows you the failure was a different kind of failure. And so it goes on. I could go right through all the World Cups for you. They were different from what happened in the States.
Yeah, you quite rightly, you mentioned the antics, we'll put it that way, leading up to 74, and the 2 warm-up games. Of course, there was the real carry-on with Jimmy Johnstone and the boat and Largs before the England game.
Before that.
Perhaps saved somewhat by the performance against England in 74, but that seemed to be in isolation because, as you say, you know, those 2 qualifying games didn't really set them up all that well for the games against Zaire, against Brazil, and a very well taken goal by Joe Jordan, a very well constructed Scotland goal by Joe Jordan, was too little too late against Yugoslavia.
Well, our game, that Yugoslavian game, finished a few minutes before the Zaire-Brazil game. Now, Yugoslavia had thumped Zaire 9-0, as I recall, and consequently, we just simply disregarded this other game that was going on. We got the draw against Yugoslavia, as you know. And I remember finishing the commentary and then leaning across to some of the people who were behind us about the other game. And it was still, I think you have to remind me about this, my memory's not as brilliant as it used to be. It was something like 2-0. And just late on, Brazil scored the other goal. That took us out of the World Cup. So we were nearly there. how can you compare that to what happened in the States? Going back to that again.
Of course, there was real fear within the Zaire team, as we understand now. We didn't necessarily know at the time, but that there seemed to be suggestions that if the players were humiliated by the Brazilians, they would, well, put it this way, they were not going to be welcomed back home with open arms.
No, that's true. There's a bit of publicity about that. But they played a 5'1" goalkeeper against Yugoslavia. We did well. We should have done better, and we certainly should have beaten Brazil. That would have been. And the Billy Bremner miss, as I said, I've repeated. He was never a striker. He was never much in the penalty box, but he was all over the park, and that was the value of Billy Bremner. So yes, it was a good World Cup for us, that one.
Looking at the 6 World Cups, the 18 games you covered, as we progress through 78, the huge disappointment in Argentina, I'm going to ask you about a particular game and experience you would have in Argentina, which was unusual and I hope didn't happen to you ever again. But for instance, I was looking at 1982 and the number of players in that 82 squad that at club level had either played in or were about to play in a European club final. And I think the number is something like 15 or 16 from the 22 had either played in a Cup Winners' Cup, UEFA Cup, European Cup final with their club, or were shortly going to go on and do so, in the case of Paul Sturrock and David Neary, Willie Miller, Alec McLeish and Jim Leighton. So that again showed the talent that was there. Even in 74, the number of Leeds players alone that were in European club finals. That there is nothing to compare it with nowadays.
One of the main characters was Jim McLean. Now, Jim McLean was assistant to Steen, and Steen had picked him. We're talking about Spain. And one of the most crucial moments in that entire World Cup was when Jock Steen sat down with Jim McLean and talked about his team selection for the final game against Russia. And Jim McLean had said to me, ultimately later on in life, he wished he had spoken up and said, I disagree with your selection, because you picked two ball-playing centre-halves, centre-backs, and Alec McLeish should be playing beside Willie Miller, not the Liverpool man. And as a consequence, as you probably know, that famous incident on the touchline, am I linking too readily that remark by Jim McLean to the mistake they both made going after the ball, leaving the Russian to go and score that goal? I don't think so. I think there was an element in there of what Jim McLean was talking about, because Jim McLean, although he could be an objectionable bugger from time to time, was nevertheless absolutely brilliant at talking about football. Sometimes you felt about McLean, with his reputation, and he swung punches as well and so on, you felt about him when you went in to talk to him that you had to watch yourself and so on, like going in to talk to a criminal. But in fact, when he talked about football, it was like a criminal talking about his butterfly collection. It was a special subject for him, and he got into great detail about players. For example, when Scottish football changed from 16 to 12, I remember McLean saying to me openly, he said, I'll tell you what, I'll never play Graham Payne again. I won't select him. I said, why not? He says, he'll be kicked off the park in this new league. In this new league, teams will be desperate to stay in the league. The game is going to become physical and more defensive. And indeed, that's what's happened. Clearly what's happened. But try and ask anybody to change it. 4 local derbies? Not possible. So I go back to that Spanish last game against the Russians. That was very crucial.
In 82, I'm thinking back again now, if my history and dates are correct. Were you in the commentary box, again possibly with Billy McNeill, for Brazil, the Soviet Union,
yes,
when the Falklands conflict ended?
We stopped. We were told to stop the commentary please, I got a word in my ear, stop the commentary. In 1 minute's time, we'll be making an announcement. So we looked at the clock, and we had an assistant with us, of course. We stopped, and in came the announcement that the Falklands War had finished. So that was another historic moment, indeed. And that was it. I remember that game was a very good game. The other thing you were talking about that particular World Cup, Brazil should have won the World Cup. They were the best, of all the Brazilian teams I've seen, they were the best Brazilian team I've ever watched. Other than 1966, when I saw Pelé at Hampden, who was overshadowed by Jim Baxter, by the way, who had a brilliant game in a friendly before they went off to play in the World Cup. But I have to say, they should have won it. And what brought them down against the Italians playing the Catenaccio system, of course, really blunted them and so on. And they were too arrogant. They thought they would win that final and so on, didn't, and so on. They should have won it. They were the best team I've seen.
Now, of course, we must get on to the Brazil game with the 2026 Fringe in mind. But before that, just to explain briefly, the first game for Scotland in '82 was the 5-2 victory against New Zealand.
That's right.
We then come to Seville, and you were in the exact place to describe what happened 18 minutes in.
Having done World Cups before and seen Brazil before and watched the nothing each game, perhaps I was expecting too much of Scotland. I was wary. I was slightly nervous of what was going to happen. No, I wasn't too confident. I certainly wasn't overconfident. I had spent the day before with Sean Connery and his wife, and Billy McNeil and I had a pleasant time. And Sean was talking about the Brazilians and so on. I thought, here I'm talking to 007 and have a commentary to do the following day. Can I use any of that stuff? I thought. Can I do a quote? I have to say, I thought of doing a quote because his wife kept interrupting the conversation and kept feeding the dog biscuits and so on. Sean got fed up and said, would you shut your mouth? And I thought, 007 talks like that to women. My God. And so on. So I said to myself, what line could I produce from a Sean Connery chat? It wasn't a direct interview, just a chat. And we're having a drink and so on. And it didn't. And then came the David Nerigo. And that was stunning. That suddenly broke through the kind of haze, the mental haze you had of saying to yourself, when are they going to rip us apart? So that's why it was stunning. It just came out of the blue. And scored by a man who needed a compass to get him into an opposing penalty area, you know. He hardly ever crossed the halfway line and so on. And a great player, steady, reliable player, which is why he was in. And the ball comes across and he meets it and it rockets into the back of the net, and that's great. And I thought, what a wonderful start. And still worried about what might then happen to the angered Brazilians. And frankly, I think we came too soon, as you might say. And then at half-time, of course, grab a glass of water so that I can have a drink and so on. And I noticed Billy McNeil had a cup of tea. And I saw him spilling the cup of tea. That bugger has called that goal a toe poke. And I said, what? He said, he's called it a toe poke. Jimmy Hill. Now, Jimmy Hill wasn't in the stadium. He was in an open-air studio that the BBC had constructed on top of a high apartment building. And we could see him. We could actually see him from our commentary position. And that was just utterly astonishing. That kept our minds whirling before, of course, in the second half, the brilliant Brazilian team simply overwhelmed us.
Going back to Jimmy Hill, it was that two-word reference there, the toe poke, and the character of Neri suddenly that there's a play about it at the Fringe in 2026, and you're right at the very centre of it.
Yes, I can understand why it has lasted because of that, because of the character of Gayané himself, a monkish figure, if you like, by comparison with some of the Scottish players I know. Very restrained, but immaculate in the way he prepared for a game and in how he played, and utterly reliable, which is one of the main assets of a defender. And so here he was in a discussion. And what we had therefore to do, and I think the play, I haven't seen the play, but I know and have encouraged people to go and see it. For various reasons, I haven't been able to go and see it. But it gave us something to talk about, something about the dismissive nature of somebody from outside our culture who doesn't understand what football means to the Scots. A single goal and a heavy defeat, let's admit that. But nevertheless, that single goal itself, and accentuated by what Jimmy Hill said about it, made it special. I mean, I remember the first goal I saw Scotland scoring. It was back in 1946 in the Victory International. It wasn't an official international, it was a Victory International. 138,000 inside Hampden Park. I was passed down the head of the crowds. They could do that in those days. Remember the big crowds at Celtic, Ibrox and Hampden Park. They did that. We go down to the front, and 2 minutes to go, Jackie Husband takes a free kick, up it comes. Wooly Waddle of Rangers heads it down to the feet of his Celtic counterpart, Jimmy Delaney, who whips it into the back of the net. And I was engulfed in this amazing emotional outburst. And I suddenly realised, and I carried it with me all through my years, of how important football is in our culture. That we are a small nation, that there's an appreciation that we are a small nation who can punch above our weight. Maybe not as often as we would like, but it's there. And it's there in the Tartan Army all the time. The feeling of, yes, we could nip somebody in the bud. We could extend what people think about us, make it further in appreciation of what we can do. It's always there, and sadly disappeared in the States in this World Cup.
I want to take you back from 82 to 78, and I teased you about this a little while ago in an experience that you had that I hope would never happen to you again, the Peru game, and we must touch briefly on train spotting. And where you come in with train spotting and the Archie Gemmell goal. But first of all, the first game of the three in 78, Cordoba, Peru. What actually happened? Because we tune in and there's no voice of Archie MacPherson, David Colbin's around the country.
There was a rebel group called the Montañeros who were in total opposition to this autocratic and military regime. You never went to a ground, but you saw men with guns holding up prisoners against the wall, workers who were brought in and so on from jails and so on. That was the atmosphere. So when my wife, and she knew about the Montañeros, didn't hear me but heard David Coleman, she did admit to me she thought the Montañeros had got me and so on. I don't know. To this day, I haven't a clue about the booking system, but I didn't get the commentary. And I was angered. I mean, you go all that way, you've done all the preparation, you've filmed thousands of reels of tape and everything else, and then suddenly the commentary doesn't happen. I always remember, after the game, I just felt so bitter about the whole experience. I started to wander around the streets of this lovely little Argentinian town. I heard music going on, and I popped in, and I was wearing the BBC's World Cup jacket, a very prominent World Cup jacket. And somebody inside saw this, and he said in Spanish to me, I've got a wee bit of Spanish, come in, it's good. I was dragged in. And I ended up in a wedding party. I danced with a bride. And they were trying to show me what the tango was. And I thought, oh, bugger the commentary. This is great. It was so different. So that's what I remember about that particular day. Yeah.
That's an alternative way to spend a 90 minutes away from the stadium. And after the huge disappointment against Peru and the draw with Iran, which Alan Rough described as his worst moment in a Scotland jersey or as a goalkeeper, you find yourself against the Netherlands.
Yeah, well, first of all, this Iran game, I've been very critical of what happened in the States. There is, of the 18 games I actually did in the World Cup, there is one game which even ranks lower than anything that happened in the States, I admit that. And that was the game against Iran. At the end of which, I have to say, there was a certain element of the Scotland support who might have done damage to Ali MacLeod if they got their hands on them. Men, some of whom had suggested getting a U-boat to take them across the Atlantic, all that way to see that game, all that travel. And then suddenly, against the Iranians, who were about as mobile as the Paps of Jura, and they scored the goal for us as well. It was an own goal. It was just awful. It was just awful. So we were demob happy when we got to Mendoza. We just wanted out the place. We were so disappointed. And then came the wonderful performance against Holland. Not coincidentally that Graham Souness was played in midfield, and that made a change to the whole thing, linked well with Kenny Dalglish, etc. And the game went its kind of natural way, but we were much pleased with the Scottish performance in general, leaving aside the goals that were scored. And then came that Archie Gemmill moment when, and I've always likened it to a short story with a beginning, a middle and an end. When he gets the ball, you wonder, where's it going to go? Because he keeps possession. And then the middle, something's going to happen here. And then the end, where he nutmegs the Dutch centre-half and then, like poetry in motion, just slips it into the back of it. No extravagance whatsoever. It was a mellow end, which was as dramatic as anything you could get. Comparing it to the overhead kick we saw at Hampden Park against Denmark, which was very spectacular. That was like a loud blast of a trumpet. His goal was like a lovely melody on a violin. That kind of comparison. The first time in my life, I was suddenly aware of about 30 commentators, all in a line, all rising like that, out of their seats, as they put the ball in the back of the net. That lived with me, and of course, I'm in Paris. Years later, I'm doing some work for Eurosport, and there's a guy who introduces himself because he'd heard about me. His name, Johnny Rep. And I said, listen, you killed us. He said, you know that goal, Archie? I said, I just had a look at the goal and I thought, I'm having a go here. And I closed my eyes and hit it. And that put us out of the World Cup. Despite the terrible performance against Iran and the surprising quality of the Peruvian team, that was something that just swept us off our feet, that single goal, by a man who was really saying to myself, I was a bit lucky that day. And so it stayed with me ever after.
And on film with the train spotting commentary, which I think was a fresh recording.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I was in Paris working at the time, and I got a call asking from a guy called Danny Boyle. I said, who's Danny Boyle? And he got on the phone to me eventually, and he said, would you come across to London? We'll fly you across to do this commentary of the Archie Gemmill goal again. And I thought, well, and then he told me what he was going to pay me, so I took the first plane out of the place. Went and did it about several times for him until he was quite happy. He wanted punch and drive. He said it sounded just a wee bit too weak. I didn't realise, of course, they invited me to the premiere, which I didn't go to. And I wasn't caring, I just got the money, and that was it. But somebody says, you really ought to go and see this. So I took some French friends to a cinema in the Champs-Élysées, in one of these marvellous cinemas they have there. And when I came out after having watched the film, I had grown in their estimation, these French people, because they had seen my voice as the background to a sex scene. I mean, what more can you want from a so-called staid Scotsman making these comments of a guy who was saying, "I've never felt like this since I watched Archie score," and so on. So that has stayed with me all that time, all over the world.
It brought a new generation of fans, I suppose, to become aware of you. Yeah. But I'm thinking back, Jock Stein again, to bring him into the conversation, I think was in the studio. He wasn't alongside you in Argentina. Now, did he not refer to your commentary of that game as it started off as if you were awake?
Exactly.
And then you were at a birthday party. Exactly. And I think his reference was, at the end, you were at a wedding.
That's right. He did exactly that. He said that to me eventually. And he was fully aware of the situation regarding the manager, whom he knew was going to be finished. Didn't matter what happened in the Dutch game and the possibilities of qualifying and so on. And so, because I had built up a relationship with Jock Stein through the years, and he was able to say that thing about me, about that particular game, yeah.
Down in Hogan's Alley lived Nancy Ann, always fussing, fighting with her man. And I heard Miss Nancy say, "Why do you treat your woman that way?" Well, I walked down the alley the other night. Nancy and her man had just had a fight. He beat Nancy round the head. When she rose to her feet, there she said, "You low-down alligator, just watch me soon or later. Gonna catch you with your britches down. You abuse me, you mistreat me, you run around and beat me. Still I'm gonna hang around. Take all my money, blacken both of my eyes, give it to some other woman. Come home and tell me lies. You low-down alligator, just watch me sooner or later. Gonna catch you with your britches down. And what I'll do to you when I catch you with your britches down." Down alligator, just watch me sooner or later. Gonna catch you with your britches down. You abuse me, you mistreat me, run around and beat me. Still I'm gonna hang around. Take all my money, blacken both of my eyes, give it to some other woman. Come home and tell me lies. You low-down alligator, just watch me sooner or later. Gonna catch you with your britches down. What I'll do then when I catch you with your britches down?
think that we should call it off, baby. I'm grateful for the mark you made on me, and to keep it that way, I don't think I can stay. I think that we should call it off, darling. It's taking up too much space in our hearts now. Let's leave on a high, on the good and goodbye. Who knew a word could cut you right open? It's over. What if I never heal like I've done before? What if I can't erase my body with yours? Like a fever pitch, it's getting me high. What if it's just a part of our history, and nothing can change what you mean to me? Don't make stories up in your mind. I just came to say goodbye. Oh, I just came to say goodbye, baby. Oh, I just came to say goodbye, baby. Light years away from finding our senses, we spent ourselves like it would be endless. Why is it so hard to say? Is there someone to blame? Who knew a word could put you right back in a moment? What if I never heal like I've done before? What if I can't erase my body with yours? Like a fever pitch, it's getting me high. What if it's just a part of our history, and nothing can change what you mean to me? Don't make stories up in your mind. I just came to say goodbye. Oh, I just came to say goodbye, baby. I just came to say goodbye. Oh, I just came to say goodbye, baby. Oh, I just came to say goodbye. Oh, I just came to say goodbye, baby. Oh, I just came to say goodbye. Oh, I just came to say goodbye, baby. Oh, I just came to say goodbye. Oh, I just came to say goodbye, baby. Oh, I just came to say goodbye, baby. Oh, I just came to say goodbye.
Music from the brilliant Ariana and the Rose, and before her, Ali Affleck, both appearing at the Edinburgh Fringe this year, as are these people, known as Acid's Rain.
The ice caps melt like cheap mascara, rhinestones drip into my tears. Summer's hot as the Sahara, warming faster every year.
Politicians shrug in polyester suits, drilling up our oil, digging up our roots. They sit there laughing, greenhouse gassing at our servitude. So keep on screaming with fear and rage, we're saving the world from a cabaret stage. Our planet is on fire and the flames are burning bright. The
This is what the brink looks like. After this, islands will disappear, seasons will dissolve, and we'll look back at this moment and wonder, how did we let that happen? You are in a war you didn't know you were in. You are drowning and you didn't even know you were at sea. No one is coming to save you, so what are you going to do? We're not going to give up. We will wave the white flag.
We're changing the world at last. Our planet is on fire and the flames are burning bright. The ocean's getting higher and oblivion's in sight. We're standing here to fight and we'll go down without a fight. If you raise us into hell, we're gonna give you hell tonight. We don't want the poison sky or something lips and changing red. Cause the earth's already started torching, pop and burn and bled. We'll fade into your silence, we won't fall away. Let's stay. We're at this rain cabaret.
Acid's Rain, and if you want a colourful musical extravaganza, then the 4th at Pleasance Courtyard is the place for you at 3:45 until August the 31st.
Bringing the festival to you, Fringe Radio.
Two sisters, one man, a history neither of them fully understands. Becca, a painter, moves into architect Charlie's flat, and the two quickly form a bond far deeper than either expected. But when miscommunication leaves their relationship unresolved, Becca's older sister Emily returns from traveling and unexpectedly falls for Charlie, unaware of everything that came before. As feelings collide and buried truths begin to surface, three lives become dangerously intertwined. A story of love, timing, sisterhood, and what happens when nobody says what they really mean. Almost everything is on at Bra Venues. Grand Lodge Venue 7 at 12 noon every day until August the 30th, except for the 26th. Tickets from edfringe.com.
We're here at the Radisson Blu Hotel, Edinburgh city centre, where the beds are comfy, the breakfasts are legendary, and the Fringe is literally downstairs. Home to the space on the mile, you'll find 7 theatres buzzing with performances all day, every day. So if you're looking for the perfect base for the festival, you've just found it.
Florence Nightingale, you've heard of her, but have you heard of Betsy Cadwallader? The globe-trotting, fearless, feisty Welshwoman who defied Miss Nightingale to become one of the first frontline war nurses at the age of 65. Her Story Theatre Company from Newport, South Wales brings Betsy to Edinburgh Festival Fringe, a heartwarming, funny and inventive two-woman play that restores a forgotten Welsh working-class heroine to her rightful place in history. Catch it at the Space at Surgeons Hall, 24th to 29th of August at 1:45 p.m. Suitable for children over 12. Tickets available from the Space box office.
Print it, copy it at thecopyandprintshop.com.
Your printing is made easy at the Copy and Print Shop. We specialise in rapid printing services, leaflets, posters, brochures, banners, business cards and more. Collect your order at our Glasgow print shop or have it delivered wherever you are. Find out more at thecopyandprintshop.com.
Print it, copy it at thecopyandprintshop.com.
Black Blues Brothers, Let's Twist Again. Fringe favourites, the Black Blues Brothers are back. Expect a rock and roll jukebox, a train station and lots of acrobatics. Every day from August 5th to August 31st at 5 p.m. at McEwen Hall, Bristow Square. Tickets available at edfringe.com.
Bringing the festival to you, Fringe Radio.
Well, still to come, something late night for you. But first, a man who has completed yet another Fringe, Dean Friedman.
Lydia keeps my toothbrush in her apartment, and she never complains. Well, hardly ever. And then jokingly she says, boy, it's been so long since I've held you. I nearly gave you up for dead. I nearly gave you up for dead. I nearly gave you up for dead. Lydia, Lydia, how come you understand? I can offer you nothing at all. This is more than I had planned. Lydia, Lydia, I am at your command. At least until morning comes, and I must be off again. I must be off again. Lydia, you know I always talk about conscious decisions, about running my own life. But maybe I'm fooling myself. It's a role I like to play. 'Cause more often than not I'm down here on the corner. I'm sorry I woke you. Do you feel like some company? Babe, I need a place to stay. Lydia, Lydia, how come you understand? I can offer you nothing at all. No, this is more than I had planned. Lydia, Lydia, I'm at your command. At least until morning comes, and I must be off again. I must be off again. Lydia, Lydia, how come you understand? I can offer you nothing at all. No, this is more than I had planned. Lydia, Lydia, I'm at your command. At least until morning comes, and I must be off again. I must be off again. I sleep with a woman who thinks I'm a child. Maybe I am. No, that wouldn't surprise anyone. I suspect that much is true. But Lydia, if you only knew just how much I love you. Did you know that I love you? It's the best that I can do. Lydia, Lydia, how come you understand? I can offer you nothing at all. No, this is more than I had planned. Lydia, Lydia, I'm at your command. At least until morning comes, and I must be off again.
wonderful and still doing the rounds. Dean Friedman on Fringe Radio and a song called Lydia. Well, now to end with today, a little bit of emotional time travel. Simon Walton has set his body clock for a darker hour, and in the best traditions of late-night 60s mystery broadcasts, he has tuned his radio destination for Somewhere in the Fringe Zone.
Let me spirit you away to 10:20 at night, and somewhere in the vaults beneath Edinburgh, a woman is answering the telephone. The callers are looking for different things: companionship, advice, romance, perhaps a little spiritual guidance, or simply somebody willing to listen. That's the starting point for Lover on the Radio, a new solo performance written and performed by Gayané. Set inside the fictional Troika Communication Tower, it explores the strange intimacy that can exist between two strangers connected only by a telephone line. What happens when the person answering those calls begins to lose the boundaries between the different roles she's being asked to play? It's not for the faint-hearted. Gayané, welcome to Fringe Radio. Where does the idea for this extraordinarily nighttime world of broadcast masts reaching into the night sky, of telephone callers reaching into the ether, of anonymous voices on the airwaves truly begin?
I've tried to track this back, and it's been hard to find it. I think genuinely it comes from the fact that when I was quite small, my sister and I played radio station constantly. WTRX is a bit of a tribute to my local station back home, and I was tasked with writing a solo performance for a scratch at a drama school, and I'd seen this painting by an Armenian artist called Natalie Miller called Lover on the Radio, about which is a painting of a woman listening to shortwave radio, and it had this sense of intimacy to it. And I thought, why not try to connect two strangers? Why not try to do that over the radio and see what happens?
The callers in your play, they all want very different things. Did you find yourself thinking about the different ways in which people willingly reveal themselves to complete strangers?
Yes, and this show has kind of been its own teller in that way, because as I've sort of spoken to different people about it, they sort of offer up stories about themselves that you wouldn't, within minutes of meeting a person, start telling them just like stories about weird sexual encounters in alleyways, and the complete, like, there's a sort of breakdown immediately of boundaries, which luckily I can't stand small talk. That's the conversation I want to be having. So it's sort of been a little cycle of finding that intimacy with just random people. It's been great.
There's no denying this is late night entertainment. I want to make that perfectly clear. But there is something inherently theatrical about a voice on the telephone. How have you used the absence of the callers, the things that the audience cannot actually see, in creating the world of Lover on the Radio?
I'm very lucky. I have incredibly talented friends both here and in the States who have volunteered their voices. My friend Kenny, who plays Tom, has this beautiful, you'll hear it, this beautiful Georgia bass that he lends in, and they have been my heroes through all of this. They have been as much of a part of this project as I have. So in a way, that atmosphere means that I'm never alone on stage. I've given them these characters and they've really made them their own. It's been really beautiful.
You're also, in addition, you're a writer and a performer. You've worked as an actor, as a producer, and even as a fight director.
Yes, yeah.
How do those different parts of your theatrical life feed into one another? And did writing and performing this piece yourself change the way that you approached it?
Yeah, so at the Fringe right now, I'm also directing another show with my production company. So I'm wearing 4 hats at any given time. And it means that I quite literally have to switch off little things and go, right, today I'm a director, today I'm acting. I mean, an hour ago I was directing and now here I am. It means that I have to see the big picture differently. I have to view it from every lens. And luckily, I'm a bit of a control freak. I want to see every angle. I mean, I film the performance every night so I can watch it back and sort of obsessively analyze it from all of those angles. So it's helped broaden my perspective and gives me a way to attack the entirety of a performance like this.
The 10:20 curtain up,
yes.
The play has a distinctly late night atmosphere, and you're performing here at the Fringe. What does that darkness and the darkness of this this vault that we're performing in. What does that add to the experience?
Yeah, the venue is actually phenomenal. I couldn't have asked for a better little dungeon to work in. It's incredibly intimate. I think, like you said, it's not for the faint of heart. I think the people that we've had come through have really known what they're getting into, because it's not the easiest show to market in that way. But it means that, we're all in here together. And what I'm trying to do every night is build a little community in the space and just say, we're all listening to this together. We're all feeling this together. Hopefully, we get to enjoy and rejoice and laugh and cry at the same time. And I think the darkness helps with that.
The play seems to explore a tension between performance and authenticity. I sat there and the callers seem real to me. And you switch your persona effortlessly between several characters. Where does that performance end and the real person begin? Is it something that you think about throughout your work?
Yes, so it comes from the job that every performer has had, which is customer service. Until a week ago, and since I was about 12, have worked in the service industry. And when you've been doing it as long as I have, you develop these personas. You develop the person you are with older male customers, younger female customers. You just learn to code switch, and it's how you sort of navigate the world. And it's also the way I navigate the world as, again, a person, as a performer. I'm not a performer everywhere I go. I'm just me. And so it just is an extension of the work you kind of have to do when you're navigating the world, maybe as a person who's not quite as comfortable in it as everyone else, or maybe as they perceive everyone else is. It's just sort of a natural extension of that frustration and that sort of wanting to fit in and wanting to connect and belong.
Well, you've spoken very eloquently and articulately about a particularly challenging piece of work that I think many people should be challenged to see. So thank you again, Diane Kaligian. Writer and performer of Lover on the Radio at Paradise in the Vault, venue 29, until the 30th of August at 10:20 p.m. Given its themes of anonymous voices, loneliness and late-night connection, that somehow feels like exactly the right time to pick up the phone. Maybe an idea for Fringe Radio here. What do you think, Stuart?
Well, it certainly gives us food for thought, Simon, as we start next week to plan our presence here at the 80th Edinburgh Fringe in August 2027. But that's it for today. We'll be back on Fringe Radio again tomorrow. Thanks for listening, and from me, Stuart Cameron, and the team, bye for now.